Hey, this is Gavin from Tuts Plus and welcome to the first lesson of this project. Now I'd like to begin by first working on the background of the image and building the layers up. So I'm just going to drag Finder across and we're working with this image right here. I'm just going to go ahead and drag the image onto the canvas like that. And I'm going to go ahead and open the image panel, pressing Command or Control Alt. And we can see here that we're working with 1920 by 1318 pixels at a resolution of 300. Alternatively, you can go to the image size panel to get the same result. So what we have here is some gaps at the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to make sure I've got the selection tool selected, and I'm just going to move the image up slightly. And I could simply press Command or Control T and drag the image across, but I don't really want to crop the edges of the mountains. I'm just going to leave it as it is. Go to the Layers panel, right click and rasterize the layer. The reason why I do that is so I can make changes to it later on if needed, but as a smart object there are certain restrictions on the image. So I'm going to go ahead now and choose the marquee tool, and I'm going to make a rectangle selection there. I'm going to go ahead and press Command or Control J to cut the selection on a separate layer, as you can see here on the panel. I'm going to go back to the selection tool and drag that down, move it across slightly so we've filled the gap. Then I'm going to go back to the Layers panel. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select both layers. Right click. I'm going to right click and merge the layers together, and let's rename that as the main background. Once that's done, I'm going to close the Layers panel and I'm going to press Command or Control U to open up the Hue Saturation panel. Now we could do it two ways. We can change the hue saturation of the image directly, or we can actually make an adjustment layer on top of the image which doesn't actually change or manipulate the main source, which is actually better in the long run, just in case you want to go back or you don't like what you've done. So rather than me change the saturation of the main image, I'm going to create an adjustment layer by choosing this option here. Go down to Hue Saturation, and I'm just going to move the hue slider across to give the sky a purple tint and make the water slightly green. So let's move that right across to about 38, which is good. And we can leave that there. Let's close that down. There we have our adjustment layer, which you can turn on and off, which is the benefit. Or you can just click here and manipulate at your pleasure in the later lessons if needed. So I'm going to close that down, and let's just make sure that, let's right click on main background and make sure that it's all in. Now there's a slight gap here, so I'm just going to press Command T and bring it out just slightly to get rid of the gap, and we're good to go. So in the next lesson what we're going to do is work on the shading around the background, and we're going to add some more color and depth to the background before we start adding the foreground layers. Thank you.